Alright, good afternoon. Welcome back to Three Swords Gaming. So, my vacation is over. It was nice. I really enjoyed it. And much needed, I will say. And now it is done, and we are ready to move forward on our Arknights Enfield playthrough. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, when you can see Arcane hanging out next to me here, and there's a reason for that. When that banner initially came out, I went ahead and pulled for her, and of course we were going to get her. It was just a question of how many pulls it would take and so forth. So when that banner came out, I went ahead and pulled for her in advance because I wanted to develop her and everything. So I'm going to insert that because I did record it, and then we will come back and we will begin moving forward in the story. So segue to me pulling for Arcane.
YSTF task leader. Arcane. Continuing mission.
Okay, so let's go ahead and pull. Now, to be clear, because of my vacation and when I'm actually going to be able to record the story playthrough on this account versus when I'm not going to be able to. Essentially, I'm going to be a couple weeks behind on this one because of my vacation. So I want to go ahead and pull for Arcane in advance. So the reason I mention that is I am leaving 3 free pulls on the table. Oh, but let's get our other pulls. No, not that. Yes, this. There we go. We'll grab these real quick. And let's go ahead and pull for Arcane. And we'll take care of the other daily stuff later. Alright, so we know we've been waiting for Arcane. We know that we're going to get her. It's just a question of how many pulls it's going to take. And of course, we have more than enough currency. So, like I said, we know we're going to get her. Oh, did we get her right off the bat? That would be amazing.
Catcher. Op Team Z7.
Looks like Ember was the 6-star. Yep, that's fine. No harm in that. I assume on this count we still need more Ember dupes. So we're not going to lose sleep over that. Nope, nothing here. Yeah, we got a Snowshine. We're probably already good on Snowshine, I would imagine. Ah, nothing on this one. Nobody cares about Alesh. Ah, alright, we'll take our free pulls. Ah, for nothing though. A bunch of Alesh. We're getting a lot of Alesh. Nope. I think we're already good on Perlica. I'm pretty sure. Oop, that didn't work. Ah, man. We may end up spending the full amount to get Arcane, although we're nowhere close yet, so like, we should be clear about that. Man. We love us some Alesh, apparently. Okay, well, that's fine. Doesn't help us at the moment.
Oh, knowledge most ancient.
Oh, did this
Lead us
account not have
into
Jahi?
temptation, but deliver.
Apparently we did not have Jahi. Well, we do now. So, I mean, that's cool. Like, we're not gonna be unhappy about that, right? All right, let's see here. Ember again. Yep, that was it. Okay. We're getting close now. 40 more attempts. So it's a good thing we had all that currency because, come on, man. Because it looks like we're going to end up needing all of it. Man, this account has not had good luck. I've had good luck in some other games recently. I had good luck in NTE. I got, what's her name? Shinku or whatever, real easy. I had good luck in Zenless Zone Zero. I got Suna real easy. We are going to have to use all the pulls, though. to get Arcane. Well, that's how it goes sometimes, and that's why you save the currency. So this should be Arcane. There we go.
Camille Arno.
What, Camille? What?
I seek a dangerous sarcasm.
No! Leave me alone, Camille.
Craft as a weapon.
Did I get Camille instead of Arcane? Okay.
YSTF task leader Arcane.
Ridiculous. Alright, well, we got Camille and Arcane.
Awaiting your order.
Alright.
Commander.
I mean, cool. I had no interest in Camille, but there you go. We got Camille. Will we build him out? I don't know. Definitely going to build out Arcane, though. Okay, so... now I return you to your regularly scheduled program. Took all 120. So we will return to the story playthrough now. Just wanted to get this knocked out in advance. Alright, and so as you can see, it took every last pull, I think literally, but did finally get Arcane and got Camille too, which is great. He'll probably never get used on this account, but that's fine. Okay, so it actually is nice that we ended up with Arcane, and I went ahead and inserted her on the team that we're going to be playing through the story with. And that will kind of be relevant. That'll make some sense as we play through the story. So let's go ahead and get rolling. We got a message from Zhuangfang Yi about something. Bravely breached the hostile winds. Let's find out what that is. Edmund, with data from the Rift Sealing field trial, the Zero-Night Nexus research has made significant progress. I know. I was there, Zhuangfang Yi. That's great. Looks like our efforts paid off. However, there are still a few steps left before we can handle the very large rift. Right, so we've addressed numerous rift things throughout this process in Wuling, but we still have the primary rift, and we have to get to that, right? So there you go. Very large rift. Zero-Night Nexus upgrade? You could say that. The current version is capable of handling small rift fissures, but sealing the very large rift, or VLR, should we just call it the VLR, will require the proxy's power, as well as Protocol Originium. I propose calibrating the Zero-Night Nexus using De Jong's instrumentation. After all, De Jong has the most advanced Protocol Originium technology. You're coming to De Jong? That's right, I've already requested access to Supervisor Perlica. I suppose I'll be the guest this time. I should have vacuumed. I should have cleaned the guest bathroom. If I'd known you were coming, I would have made arrangements ahead of time. You don't have to be so formal. I'm not going there solely as Viceroy Wuling, but also as your old friend. Wuling City has been busy with all kinds of preparations lately. I apologize for disturbing you at a time like this, but this concerns the very large rift. Yes, I know. That's what we've been talking about. See you on De Jong. See you soon. Okay. So interestingly, I think this is the first time that we have main story taking place on De Jong since the start of the story. Am I wrong? I don't think I'm wrong. I think this is the first story we have taking place on De Jong. And I'm happy to see that. Because it's cool. I think they did a very good job with it. It has super cool vibes, very futuristic, sci-fi. I like it a lot. And why not incorporate it in the story? Oh, you got something for me, Snowshine?
Take this. It's a tiny something I brought from the snowfields.
I love Snowshine, and she never gets used because I don't really have a way to incorporate her properly into any teams or anything. I haven't figured out the Snowshine yet. Okay. Oh, hi. What's up, ladies?
Endman, you've returned. We verified the details. Our Arsenal engineers have cleared out some space and started the tests.
The tests?
De Jong is literally the largest protocol originium of Talos 2. I believe this tuning run will conclude with quick success.
Need me to help with the testing?
You already did back in Wuling. Now, all we need is to wait patiently.
Just wait patiently?
Actually, we asked you back not just for work. There is a personal side to it as well.
What? Where is this going?
Supervisor Perlica made a complaint. Peace has returned to Wuling, but you seem unwilling to take a break.
Well, I'm busy.
You know that once the Sheer-Night Nexus is ready, we will head straight to our next battlefield. So for now, we want you to take a proper rest under our watch. It is necessary.
She's one to talk, right? Like, we saw that she never takes rest either. And Perlica doesn't either. In fact, what are Perlica and Zhuangfang Yi going to be doing while we rest? Working. This feels a bit silly, but okay.
Take a good rest, Endman. We'll see you shortly.
Okay. And so, there we go. The actual start. It's kind of interesting that it gives that little, like, chapter starting thing after the chapter is started. Alright, so. To our... Oh, yeah, they added, like, the ability to control the sound in your spaceship, which is cool. Alright, sit down and take a rest, apparently. So I think probably this makes a lot more sense if you're like way into original Arknights lore. Unfortunately, I'm advancing through that game very slowly because I suck at it. I do enjoy it. I think it's a very, very, very good game. But I'm bad at it. So I'm advancing through it very slowly. And so there are a lot of characters and a lot of story that I still don't have like good background on. And so this does not have the context for me that it might have for like a player that was really into Arknights. Or maybe the context is simply unclear. Maybe it's yet another vague thing and only time will tell us what's going on here. I'll be honest, the symbolism is lost on me. I genuinely don't get what's happening here, but that's fine.
Administrator. Endman, are you all right?
Oh. Hey, I just had a dream about you. Is that a weird thing to say to a woman? I just had a dream about you.
I'm okay. I just had a dream.
About you, Perlica.
Maybe I'm a little tired. What did you dream of?
Where did you come from? Alright, we got a couple options here. So, and the suppressor, that's the mask, right? The mask, like, suppresses her originium powers and prevents her from overexerting herself. So this is the more clear response. This is very, very, like, what? What are you talking about? This is very abstract, I guess. We'll be a little more clear.
Let's talk about the dream later. How goes the Sheer-Night Nexus?
That means we'll never talk about it. I know how that works.
The tuning has been successful. Its capacity for originium energy proves flawless. Once the proxy arrives, it might become the mighty weapon we need to seal the very large rift.
Sounds like good news to me.
So this is like a super common like video game trope where like there's a device, right? It's kind of a little bit of a ex machina thing, and this device will fix a problem. And the device needs to be improved or tuned in some way or something. And that process is like opaque to us. The device needs to be improved, and then it's improved, and we assume that they just like tightened some bolts that were loose, and now it operates at 300% efficiency, or something. Like it. Then why was the device not efficient? Like when they initially created the device, did they create it wildly inefficient, and now someone just needed to tinker with it and make it more efficient? Like, and I'm not necessarily picking on Endfield because this is something that's in so many games and so many stories like this, where oh, we need the thing to do more. Take it back to the lab and turn a wrench again. Well, why didn't you design it to do more to begin with? If that was always capable within the design, why didn't you just make the design as efficient as possible up front? Very weird.
And here's even better news. Arcane's awake.
Oh, goody.
She wants to tell us something in person. Chun is already off to talk to her.
Oh no, not Chen. We sent Chen on our behalf? I do love Chen. And remember, Chen and Arcane have like some history, right?
Endman, if you're ready, we should head to the main pillar as well.
Well, let's go.
Let's not keep her waiting.
Exceptionally long loading time for an SSD. That's a nice little touch with the ears.
Tianshizhuang and Endman, you're here.
Hi, Arcane.
Maybe you can get this one to be quiet for a while.
Ooh, sassy.
Nagging is caring, okay?
Oh, I've heard that before.
Thank you, but I prefer less nagging.
Why you... Whatever. I don't argue with patience. I'm just glad you're all right.
Apologies, Arcane. It was my decision that put you at risk.
None needed. You made the right call, Tianshizhuang.
See, that interaction's actually kind of interesting because it was already established to some degree that that was the right decision and that that was Arcane's role, and now Tianchi Zhuang apologizes for that decision and Arcane reinforces that it was the right decision. It's just kind of an interesting interaction, and I'm not opposed to it by any stretch of the imagination. Even if you... excuse me. Even if you made such a decision and knew it was the right decision, you would probably still apologize to the person, right? So I don't have a problem with it at all. It's just interesting the way they navigate it with the dialogue.
The Originium arts I've mastered failed to kill him. He's not human anymore.
So I wonder, like, there must have been a decision to be made on how they handled that phrase, he's not human anymore, with like localization and across various languages. And even if this game was written in English, which I assume it wasn't, I believe the studio's out of Hong Kong, I assume the native language is Chinese. But even if it was written in English, you would struggle with like how to package that phrase. Because, like, none of them are human exactly, but you don't want to say he's not mortal anymore, because immortality would be something different than simply not being human. So they went with human, and I think that was probably the right choice, even though there's a little bit of a disconnect, because with the possible exception of Endman, nobody here is human, exactly. They're, you know, whatever they are. They're, you know, Sarkaz or Lungman or whatever, but they're these kind of animal creatures that Originium created in the first place, right?
When I woke, I immediately ordered Summit to share the intel. Blight miasma concentrations in the North Wuling exclusion zone are spiking. Neferith's trick has affected the Very Large Rift.
I knew it.
They're doing everything they can to open the Very Large Rift. But their target is not Wuling. It's you, Endman. It's beyond me. The ether keeps restoring Ardashir's body. He can't be truly killed.
Return.
Take me to the Endman, before the truth hurts her.
The truth? Was he talking about the Very Large Rift?
Okay, so before we find out whether or not he was talking about the Very Large Rift, I want to address a couple things in that cutscene that I think are of significance or of note. I'm also going to adjust the volume a tiny bit real quick. Alright, let's go with that. Okay, so the things in the cutscene. One, the blight or the ether restoring Ardashir's body, that's going to be very important as we go forward in this story. There's this, and I hadn't said it yet in this video, this is probably the best storytelling that they've done to date in Endfield, and so now they're starting to, I think, maybe approach like what original Arknights players wanted, and I don't think they're there yet. The story in the original Arknights, now keep in mind the medium is completely different. Not just because it's a mobile game versus a PC and console game, although you can play this on mobile, but I wouldn't. But also because the actual gameplay is so drastically different, and it's more like 2D art, and it's much more narratively driven than Endfield, which is more of an action game. So the storytelling is different, but the tone is also very different. The original Arknights is so much darker, and they're starting to get there a little bit better in Endfield, but also just tell a better story in general. And I think that this patch, what was this, like 1.4, really gave us their best storytelling to date in Endfield. But that the concept that the ether is restorative to certain individuals is important, because some of my past predictions regarding the story will turn out to be incorrect in this patch, and it's related to that concept, and we'll get to that soon enough. If not in this video, then at some point in the next few, because this patch is going to require several videos. The other thing was Arcane getting pulled out of there. That is also going to be like something we're gonna get a lot more of that. Better understanding of that, I should say, as we go forward.
The Very Large Rift and its changes. Are they a trap?
An obvious one. The Very Large Rift is increasingly active. We cannot afford to ignore it.
But he doesn't know we have the Arknight Nexus, does he not? Are we making a serious assumption? I'm not going to say that because I don't like that. But we still have the initiative. I'm good with that.
True. If the Arknight Nexus works as intended, the initiative will be ours.
Okay, so this is a pretty good case where they gave us two seemingly different responses, and her response to us works kind of with either one. So that's pretty well done. One more thing with the cutscene that I wanted to note real quick that just popped into my head. Once again, they have voice acting that refers to the gender of Endman, and keep in mind, we can play Endman as either gender, which means they recorded the voice acting presumably for both genders. I have to assume that because they said her there. I can't imagine they only recorded it to say her, just assuming that 80% of the people played female Endman. I doubt it's even 80%. I think it's probably pretty well split in this game. So I do find that very interesting that they go ahead and they do that, and I really appreciate that. I think it adds to the game.
Once everything is ready, we shall head to the exclusion zone bastion, Yinglong Pass, and go forward with our plans from there.
Let's do it. I'm all about a new map.
Hold on. The Shiranite Nexus is ready?
Oh yeah, you were sleeping when that happened. I was sleeping too, actually. I took a nap and I woke up and it was ready.
Yes. While you were unconscious, the Endmen and I completed the Nexus.
Well, I mean, I was asleep for most of it.
There's still room for improvement, but its state is close to the intended design. I'm confident we can use it to suppress the very large rift.
I actually enjoy playing the story without having pulled for Zhuang Fangyi. She's so prominent in the story that I almost feel like having her as a playable character would detract from me a little bit. Because of her role. Whereas I don't feel like having Arcane as a playable character detracts at all. In fact, it's really going to add to the story as we go forward.
The task force is standing by. I'm formally reporting back.
You just came around. That body of yours needs rest.
That body of yours.
My duty is to handle any exclusion zone crisis. No one knows the zone better than me.
So we get so much more of this concept here of the zone, and I think they do a fantastic job of like what the exclusion zone is and what it means. And at this point in the story, Arcane saying no one knows the zone better than me comes off as like hubris or arrogance. And as we move forward in this story, we're going to get to a better feeling for that. And so hopefully I remember to circle back around to this, because we're going to see that it's not necessarily hubris or arrogance, it's something else entirely.
There are others in your
No, I must lead the task force myself.
And her sense of responsibility is really going to get fleshed out as well.
Or are you willing to let the Endmen face even greater risks in the North Wuling exclusion zone?
Ooh.
Okay, fine. But at least go with us. Don't want you overdoing it again.
Arcane, I understand how you feel, but certain things shouldn't be rushed.
Tianshizhuang, don't you think you've been repeating those words a bit too much over the years?
Oh. And I like that. I would not want to play a game where the characters are only like friendly to each other all the time, where like that would feel very fake to me, right? I like a little bit of tension, not to the point where it feels like I'm hanging out with squabbling children, but a little bit of tension between adult characters is, I think, gratifying in the narrative of a game.
But this is different. We have Shiranite and the Endmen.
This could be a rare opportunity.
I should also note that as the story goes on, we will get payoff for that.
Very well. Endman, please take the Shiranite Nexus and go on ahead to Yinglong Pass.
We'll get the payoff for that tension. Like they'll flesh that out and make it worth it. So it's not just like an empty moment of drama for drama's sake.
I shall muster our forces at Wuling. The exclusion zone is a dangerous place. A larger force is needed to reach the very large rift.
We worked hard to complete the Shiranite Nexus. It shall be well protected. Let's go, Arcane. It's time we head to Yinglong Pass.
So this right here,
I've been waiting for this day for far too long.
that team is the team for the entirety of this story, which makes
Keep going down this direction and you'll reach Yinglong Pass.
Okay, Arcane. Whereas, if you had pulled for Mifu, like, there wasn't really a story reward in that particular chapter all that much. And certainly Zhuangfang Yi there would have been, but, like, pulling for Rossi, there wouldn't really been a story reward. Definitely with Arcane, pulling for her before playing through the story, it rewards you for that. Because now you see that the team that's going to be entering, we just saw that there at the end of that cutscene. The team going into Yinglong Pass is this team right here, Enmin, Shen, Arcane, and Perlica. So now we have on field the team that is going to be, you know, moving through the story, and I think that's satisfying.
Still in the scroll.
That Ardashir could be hiding some nasty tricks, but he's no match for the proxy.
According to the records, there were entities on Terra who wielded Farenmut powers with incredible capabilities.
If they were all on Talos too, maybe we wouldn't have to do all this heavy lifting.
Oh, it's kind of a cop-out, Shen. Another thing that I liked in that cutscene, by the way, Zhuangfang Yi is putting together like a whole army of people to facilitate entry into the exclusion zone. I love that, actually. I absolutely love that. I hate... And Guild Wars 2 was just the worst about this. The commander does everything with the same like little handful of friends, and they're saving the world, the 5 or 6 of them or whatever, all the time. And like the cop-out is, well, it's an MMO, so you're doing this with thousands of other players, but not in the story. In the story, it's the commander and a handful of their friends. And they do a fantastic job, and we'll see this going forward in this story, of making you feel like Enmin is doing this not just with Perlica and Shen and Arcane, but with hundreds of people. And I love that. Because it makes the crisis feel more relevant if that is needed. The crisis doesn't feel like a crisis if you and Chen resolve it, just the two of you. So I'm really pleased. That actually, like, I can't stress that enough, how satisfying that is for me as a narrative device. Huh, looks like I never did this thingy thing. Crisis, whatever it's called. Well, I'm not going to be doing it right now because we have places to be, right?
When Neverith attacked Wuling, we had to keep the pass safe and the situation under control. The Yinglong thus sealed this path. Our vanguards have cleared the areas ahead. We shall carry on as usual.
You're finally here.
Endman, what is it?
It's nothing.
Yinglong Pass. If my results back then were different, I'd probably be defending the pass right now. Ugh, I really like Endfield a whole lot better, Enmin. I'm just curious, that's all.
I love going into new maps. So satisfying. Even the second time around, I love going into new maps. So that butterfly a second ago should be familiar to us, right? Like, we should recognize that from earlier in the story.
Huh? A powered raft? Here?
Our way into the underground channels of Yinglong Pass. After the environment of the North Wuling exclusion zone worsened, the surface of the Easy has become unsafe. The raft will bring us there. It's faster.
An artificial water channel beneath the marker stone.
10 years ago, the Tianshu dredged the underground river to repurpose Yinglong Pass. It is now part of the pass's defensive system.
Only by walking upon the land can we truly...
No one on duty. This isn't normal.
So here's a really interesting thing. So you see the armor blueprint over there, and naturally you want to go get it, and that's what we'll do. Oh, and we'll grab this as well, because we're going to need all this. So you see the things that you naturally want to go after as part of map exploration. And then, right as you're seeing those things, and you think, I'm going to go get those things, you get a little bit of dialogue that creates a sense of urgency and pushes you forward in the story instead of immediately stopping to explore the portion of the map that you've unlocked so far, which is really just that little sidewalk right there, right? But now we have that dialogue saying, no, don't worry about the sidewalk. Like, we need to push forward through the story right now. And I appreciate that because I don't consider that heavy-handed at all. I consider that, like, you know, pretty well done. And you could disagree. You could say, no, that's very heavy-handed. That's fine. It didn't feel that way to me.
This is very impressive.
We're here. The quarantine line of the exclusion zone. The bastion of Wuling. Yinglong Pass.
Man, they know how to introduce zones, don't they? And I have to assume that's incorporated into their design. That when they design a zone, they design an entrance. So there was a I'm making an assumption here. I don't know this is a statement of fact. But I'm making an assumption that when they designed this zone, they specifically said, put this stairway here, like, to block. So see, now the zone is blocked. Can't see. And then you crest, and it's all out in front of you, and it's impressive, and it's beautiful. And I think that's excellent design. These games, these Chinese live service games, whether
Use my
it's...
authority level to create a path.
Okay, I'll do that. Whether it's NTE or Enfield or Wuwa or Genshin or whatever, the amount of impressive, really good-looking, and polished to a degree, different games have different amounts of polish, content that they can release on a regular cadence is impressive, and raises the question why some other games can't.
I haven't seen any Yinglongs so far.
They're a small force, but strong enough to face the zone. And she should be arriving soon.
She should be arriving soon. So, regarding Chen's comment there and Arcane's response, if you remember Summit from earlier in the story, and that whole crew that works with Arcane, the Special Task Force, we're going to be getting a lot more of them, and I was very, very pleased about that. That was very satisfying to me. So a minute ago, when Arcane was like, oh, you know, there should be guards here, they're not here, something's wrong, that's who she's referring to, is where are these other Yinglong Special Task Force folks?
Wait, look at the gate.
We've got a sitch. On your toes.
We've got a sitch. I have seen complaints on Reddit and so forth about the amount of, like, Gen Z lingo in the game. It doesn't bother me, maybe because I live with a Gen Z kid, but, I don't know, I guess I can appreciate it that it annoys some people.
Formation! Block the blight miasma! You're back, Captain. And greetings, my Endfielder friend. Blight activity has spiked. The blight miasma has begun to approach the pass. With the wrist cuffs, The Yinglongs will hold out for 1 to 2 hours.
Where's the proxy?
Something happened outside. She went looking for the source of the miasma.
Understood. I'll take it from here.
Roger, ma'am. All units, command has been transferred to Task Leader Arcane.
Given your current state, you sure about this?
As long as I stand, there's no question about that. All Yinglongs, spread out in teams of 3. Set risk-ups to hot and execute Action Plan B. Overflow, sync the depth readings every minute. Summit, take 2 men and run the emergency patrol route. Then use sky poles to photograph the blight miasma in the zone.
So here's a little thing. A little thing that when you're, making a game like this, that you might pay attention to or you might not, and they did pay attention to it, and I appreciate that. So she addresses 2 of her task force, Overflow and Summit. They have actual names, which means to the player, that means they're characters that matter, because we're accustomed as gamers in many games to seeing like NPCs that just don't matter. But when you get a voice acted name, then that tends to generally tell you like, oh, this character matters. But then if you introduce Overflow and then never again, or Summit and then never again, then that feels a little unrewarding to the player. And they don't do that. So here we have Summit again. We've had Summit before, and we'll get a lot more Summit. And Overflow will come up again too. And some of these other characters that we'll hear. And Endfield does a great job of this. Everyone has a name. You don't go to a shop and there's the name of the shop tender is shop tender. Like, you don't experience that in this game. And they do a very good job of making, using the story to flesh out all these different individuals. And I appreciate that quite a lot.
Our primary objective is to contain the blight miasma. It must not interfere with the mission.
Yes, ma'am. Holler away if things get messy.
Holler away.
Wait, what's that over there? An Yinglong?
Get back!
Blight Shade sighted! Stay in formation! Full alert!
Blight Shades. Why did they show up here? We'll handle these enemies.
These people, why did they...
Not people, they're just enemies.
Alright, so we'll talk about this a bit after we're done with getting my ass whooped from the looks of things. Really need to get my business together here.
Power's low! We won't be able to hold!
You're late. It's been 10 long years.
And you are... that little ink spirit?
Huh? Did you just call me an ink spirit? The name is Su. Don't forget it again.
Lady Su, how are things in the exclusion zone?
Not good. The zone is infested with blight shades.
Light shades? Oh, like the Inglong-looking enemies from earlier?
We must act with haste. I suggest we deploy our Yinglings at once, push deep into the zone, and eliminate the blight shades to clear out a path.
Eliminate? Sounds like a really stupid plan. An unpleasant shadow is only given form by an undesired light. As long as the rift exists, the ether shall continue to mimic these lost souls. Your top priority rests still in Shirenite. I'll take that. Yes, the Shirenite Nexus. So it's not just memory loss. Your reflexes are slower too. I have to say that Little Drunk's really talented. This thing actually works. I just rode through the zone. The Shirenite Nexus probably won't cut it as is. My presence shall remedy that. I shall prepare a ritual for augmenting the Nexus. Settle affairs, and meet me later. Oh, before I forget.
Shen's face.
Archie.
It's so stupid. Chen.
We meet again, and...
What's going on? This is obviously the correct response. That's so silly. But since it gives us a stopping point, so the introduction of, and I'm going to call her Sue because is very hard for an American to say. So Sue here, great introduction, the way they bring her in. Absolutely fantastic job. Clearly a very likable character, both in appearance and in how she, kind of conducts herself and behaves. And a lot of fun. I assume she's going to be a playable character at some point in the relatively near future. So I am assuming that is the next character that we will, set our sights on, because we're being very selective about who we pull for. With, this being like a purely free-to-play account. So we'll just continue to aggregate Horror Barrel and wait for Sue to be released. Nice job, I think, with the ink spirit thing, and then her giving her name, and that whole interaction. It's a nice way to introduce it to the player within the flow of the story and everything that we have going on in the story so far. Also, I want to address the what are they called? The spirits that were popping up. And I don't want to deep dive on it quite yet, because they will go into it much more in depth as the story advances. But this is something that a lot of games have done. You have to fight the you know, the spirits of the comrades who went before you or whatever. And too often, like, it's like kind of hand wavy, like, oh, how ominous. You have to fight your former friends, and then it just stops there. And that's it. And I really appreciate that Endfield doesn't do that. I don't want to go too much into it because, again, I want to allow the story to play out. But they don't just stop there. They really make it a meaningful part of the story. And so that's something to really look forward to because it should be a meaningful part of the story, right? All right, and then Googly Eye Ardashir. Ardashir, what's going on?
A small gift for you.
A picture of Ardashir? You call that a gift?
Where did you send him?
A prison, designed by me. Strengthened by 1,000 taboos of the scroll. Should be enough to keep the Sandy miscreant in.
Okay, so Sandy is very interesting here. Like, that's a really weird adjective. I don't think that's a localization problem. I think that's, on the contrary, I believe that's actually, like, very effective localization. Because if you'll recall, doesn't he originally come from a desert kingdom? I believe he does. I believe when he introduced himself to us a couple chapters ago, that was described. Remember the long conversation between Ardashir and Enmin in like that little room with flowers, like a little cavern? I believe that was addressed at that point in time. So Sandy is actually a very intentional adjective to be used here, given his like ancient origins.
I just can't stand listening to him talk. It annoys me so much I can't focus. Don't worry. The miscreant asked to be bound and won't be able to move. Go ahead if you need to ask him anything.
Ardashir definitely has some valuable information.
Easy for you to say, Perlica. You're not the one that he's messing with. Silly bird.
Agreed. Let me check on Yinglong Pass first. Then I'll take the Endmen to the prison.
Okie dokes. What are you looking at? How is that intended to be read? Because I think most Americans are going to read that as, what are you looking at?
YSTF mission logs.
Oh, it was literally, what are you looking at?
Lee, those enemies. The ones called Blight Shades? They're...
An ether-side phenomenon, I believe.
Yes. It wasn't too long after the disaster when the Yinglongs found them. The Tianshu regard it as random incidents that occur when the ether side consumes its victims. They are momentary information fragments. Blight shades were usually sighted deep in the zone. Such incidents were very rare as well. They only mimicked how the victims acted when they were alive. Like a flashing phantom, they would dissipate in a few minutes to half an hour. I'd never seen so many Blight Shades attacking Yinglong Pass.
It feels as though they're trying to escape the zone.
Precisely why we must extract more intel from that Ardashir. He manipulated Rift Phantoms at the Marker Stone and knows how to wield the ether. He might have had a hand in this.
Lady Su said he gave himself up, but he might have other plans in mind.
The Yinglong Special Task Force rarely interrogates prisoners. Most of our enemies aren't people, after all. But this might be a refreshing experience.
Alright, here's what I'm gonna do, because we cut in the gacha pulls. So maybe this is an appropriate place to stop, and we can start the next video with the interrogation of Ardashir and go from there. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Thank you very much for hanging out with me as we get started on 1.4 in Enfield. And when we come back, we're going to continue to move forward. We're going to interrogate Ardashir and move into the further into Yinglung Pass. And I believe there are some lengthy story sequences in there, so we'll have to kind of navigate that as we go. But yeah, really looking forward to this because this is a great patch for story in Enfield. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I will see you soon. Later.